before I even got started. That is a good sign because that means you got some tech troubles. Right? As tech got you spinning out in confusion, I really hate that. And I wanted to come on today because A, I've got a masterclass coming up and I'd love you to be there. So let me just be bold and out loud about that. It is the Tech Alchemy Masterclass, and if someone's out there and can put the link in the description, it's africaarshil.com/Tech Alchemy. I would love to see you at the masterclass. The other thing that happened was I literally had someone come to me today in tech confusion, and I'll get to that in a second. I do want to know if you have any questions. So as I'm telling my little story, if you will, in the comments, put your questions so I can answer them. This is really a Q&A. I want to be here in service to you. All right. So what had happened? What happened this morning? I woke up to an email from a client, and this is someone I did a one-off project for. She just needs some help in this little community of entrepreneurs. I'm known as a person that can help with putting up assessments and automation. Because I was in that little community, I'm the first one who came up with it. So now I'm known as the person, right? Every once in a while from that little pocket of entrepreneurs, I'll get someone to reach out and say, I need some help with this. So I helped, right? And this morning I got an email. She is not exactly on the other side of the world, but she's a good 5-6 hour time difference from me. And so I'm sure it's her afternoon, my middle of the night. And I was like, okay, let me help. So I looked at it. And the email she had forwarded me was from Zapier, right? So she had some things on her website that were automated, right? And Zapier was taking care of the automation, meaning Zapier was allowing two different systems to talk to each other. That's what Zapier does. And so she didn't understand what the breakdown was. She just knew there was a breakdown, right? And that's where that tech confusion comes in, where like the breakdown. What is, it's Zapier, Zapier, Z-A-P-P-I-E-R, I think. Zapier. So Zapier is a program that allows other programs to talk to each other. So when you think about duct taping systems together, this is where that duct tape comes in. Zapier is literally the duct tape. It makes sure that, let's say, your email service provider can talk to your website or talk to your membership site or something like that, or maybe even talk to social media for you, or talk to your accounting software for you, or what you bill with, let's say like PayPal or Stripe, right? When I say accounting software, think QuickBooks, right? So it makes everything talk to each other, right? That's what it does. And it does a really good job at it. Duct taping is hard. It's a lot of work. And it's what used to like really get me super jazzed when I first started helping people, duct taping everything together, because A, that was really the only option at the time, but duct taping everything together and figuring out how to make it work, because I like the puzzles. I love the puzzles, which you wouldn't know if you watch me play video games. I get very frustrated with puzzles. But when it comes to this kind of thing, I like the puzzles and I like the programming of it all. So that's basically what comes together. And for most people who aren't really jazzed about stuff like that, this is really hard. And that's where my client came in. It was super hard putting that together, super hard figuring out what in the heck was this error message, this error email that she received from Zapier. So she forwarded it to me. And I looked at it. I'm so glad, Cottage Core Grove, you find that puzzles are fun, and Jinx Wild does too. Awesome. So I looked at this email. It just basically said that an email address that was being sent to her email service provider wasn't being allowed. So where she couldn't figure out where the breakdown was, I could look at it pretty quickly and see where the breakdown was, but I still needed to know why, right? It's good to know where it's breaking, but you need to know why it's breaking in order to fix that issue. So I did a little investigating, to following, what was I watching? Speaking of video games, the other day I was watching Snufkin, Moomin Trolls, Summertime and Moomin Trolls, something like that. I don't know. But anyway, it's such a cute game. And basically, he had to go back to, people were fleeing a certain area. He asked someone why. And he's like, well, I go to where they're fleeing to figure it out, right? You've got to trace your steps back. You got to go back to where things began and then start figuring out why something's happening. And that's what I did. I retraced it back. I started at the beginning. And then I realized, okay, the person's information came through here on the website. So what happened? Then it went over to Zapier and it went through the whole system. Oh, and then when it came to that email service provider, the email service provider went, okay, why? Okay, so now there's a little bit more investigating. So push comes to shove, and very long story short, there was an issue on the email service provider side that needs to be resolved. Whereas the reason she sent this to me is because she thought it was on the website side, right? And it had nothing to do with the website, nothing to do with Zapier. It was the email service provider. And I listed the reasons why the email service provider might have had an issue, and that at this point she needs to take that up with them. So that was the whole thing. But the frustration, oh, you love Snufkin? That's such a good one, right? Y'all, I love playing video games, just as a side note. Okay, now, one of the things I just think about that situation today was, what if she didn't have someone to reach out to? Now, she had me, right? I'm pretty techie. She has a VA, but she had reached out to her VA, and her VA didn't know, right? And what if she didn't have me? What if she couldn't reach out to me, or didn't have a community of some people she could reach out to where she felt safe, where she felt comfortable, right? And I think that's a real issue. When we're faced with something we don't know, sometimes it just doesn't feel safe to ask questions. And sometimes that's our own ego. We don't want to look stupid. Trust me. There are many times I didn't want to look stupid and I didn't ask a question I should have asked, right? And other times we don't want to seem needy, right? We don't want to feel like, or this is common knowledge. That's another one. So we don't want to feel like we're putting someone out, right? There's all these reasons that we don't ask the questions we need to ask so that we can make good decisions. It's hard to make good decisions if you don't have all the data points, right? Right. So that's a mindset thing that I won't get all into it right now, but I do with my community go into, is pushing past those limitations, those barriers in our mind to ask the questions, to be out there, and that it's okay not to know, and we still love you, right? There's a lot of things I don't know. And now I've gotten better about asking the questions. And I encourage others to do the same, which leads me to ask some questions. This is a Q&A. Ask your tech questions up in there. Okay, get in there, ask those questions. And also, even if you're watching the replay, go ahead and ask questions so I can come back and get those answers for you. Or who knows, it might spark an entire new video. You just never know. You never know. All right, so I'm looking for those questions now. And I want to remind you to come to the Tech Alchemy Masterclass. It is, for me, it's tomorrow. It's April 3rd at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Central Time in the U.S. And the website, I think it's in here, but if it's not, it's africarshield.com/Tech Alchemy. I know it's in the description. I believe I put it in there. But love for it to be in a comment. All right. So are there any problems with Zapier? I don't think of it having any problems with Zapier. I think Zapier is a pretty solid piece of technology that works really hard. And I give you just like a minute number of examples of things it has talked to each other. I think there's thousands of programs it puts together. which is a feat. And I know that the development end of that, there's a lot, right? Zapier has their protocols. And then when someone's like, I want to add my program to your service, there's a whole host of things they have to go through to get that in there, right? So I think Zapier in and of itself, Cottage Core Grove, it's a pretty solid service. What I do also think is if there's any way that you can avoid using a service like Zapier, because things change inside of programs, and that's where a lot of times breakdowns happen, and things aren't updated right, and protocols and yada yada, right, aren't all together. So anytime you can avoid using a program like that and use something that is native, it is best. I know when I first started out many years ago, decades ago, I'm almost sad to say, decades ago, that, everything had to be kind of put together by something like Zapier, or it was such a pain to get things to talk to each other. And then you saw some all-in-one systems where everything was on one platform, and I didn't really like that because I just worried about what if something broke down in that platform and then you're kind of stuck. I wanted to work with platforms that were proven and more robust and keep duct taping them together to talk. But things have evolved over the course of 2 decades, people. Believe it or not, things have evolved. And now, one of the things that I worked on developing was a robust platform that was stable, that like leaders could use, where all those things are on one platform, and there's no need to go outside of it, or if there is, it's a very rare occasion, so you can get things to talk to each other and still use Zapier as well. So yeah, those are my use cases. Okay, Nazar, can you give us a secret thing about the masterclass? Oh, so you want to know more about the masterclass? Let me see. What secret thing can I give away about the masterclass? I think you already know it's going to be about 90 minutes, so I don't know that that's a secret. It will be interactive. I think that's something people are used to, going to a masterclass, and all that happens is they sit and listen for 60 to 90 minutes and then have some Q&A. And where in this class, there will definitely be some Q&A. There will also be interaction during the class, because I don't want you to just listen and absorb knowledge. I want you actively engaged and using what I'm talking about. So that comes from teaching for over 20 years in higher ed. You need to be engaged. I know you need to be engaged. So the masterclass, there's going to be lots of engagement, lots of what I would call hands-on activities. So yes, I would love to see you there. Okay, you think you might be looking into all the ones after this? Awesome. I am glad. Yeah, the masterclass is going to be great. My hope, my desire is to keep doing them from time to time. That's why there's a VIP experience, so that you could get the replays, not only of this masterclass, but future ones, and always be invited to future masterclasses as well. And I guess there's one other thing that's in there that I guess might be a secret. I can't remember if I talked about it. I am putting together a spell book that I'll be giving out during the masterclass as well, where you'll have a lot of the stuff where you can go through, especially the things we talk about specifically in this iteration of the masterclass, are going to be in that spell book. So it'll be really good as a guide for you to continue to use. And I should say this, every version of the masterclass is different, right? Because it's based on the feedback of the people who are coming to the masterclass. So I take in all that feedback, I ask all the questions so I can see what is most pressing to those that are attending. And then I create the masterclass around that. So I know what this one's going to be about. It's a surprise. I'm going to reveal it in the first couple of minutes of the masterclass, obviously. But it is brought in from not only solicitation of people who signed up to attend, but also these Facebook, well, not Facebook, but YouTube lives and Instagram lives that I've done. So that's where I'm getting in all the data and saying, okay, this is what's most pressing in the community, and this is what's going to be in the Tech Alchemy Masterclass. Yeah, the spell book is going to be amazing. And yes, I start. Thank you so much for sharing the link. I appreciate it. So I'm not seeing any other questions in the comments. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. If you do have a question, you can stick it in there really fast or say, wait, I have a question. And then I'll hold on and just kind of hold air here for a minute for you. But I'm really excited about tomorrow. I can't believe it. In just about 24 hours, we're going to be getting together for the Tech Alchemy Masterclass and really making some magic, really turning like tech dread into tech wow, right? You're going to come out of that masterclass really feeling empowered around technology, knowing that technology can actually work for you, not be another crazy taskmaster working against you. Right? That is what I'm trying to bring to you in this masterclass, and just make it so it's freeing up some time, right? I want it to free up your time so you can really flow into what you love doing, right? I know most people didn't start a business to focus on all the back end business stuff that happens, or what I call the back end tedium of running a business. And it becomes its own kind of day-to-day grind. You're like, why don't I just have a 9 to 5? I wouldn't have to deal with all this foolishness, right? You actually got into business because there was something you loved doing. You wanted to share that with the world. And so by learning some tech alchemy, right, and of deploying that tech alchemy into your business, you get to focus on doing more of what you love. All right. With that, my loves, peace, joy, love to you. Not a problem. Thank you so much, Coach Corgrove and Nizar.